Two Nations Under Ted, a Ted Lasso podcast, is a Boink Studios production. And now, on with the show.
Welcome back, kids, to Season 3 of Two Nations Under Ted, a Ted Lasso Podcast. I hesitate because we talked about a bunch of stuff before I hit the record button. Some of it was pro wrestling, as we've been known to do. Some of it was Game of Thrones. Some of it was other stuff that we're not going to get into here.
No.
Yeah, because it's weird. And this isn't that kind of show. If you follow us, you know that's not the kind of show we have here. Tom Clark here with you as always, joined by Jay Luft and Joe Higgens. And we are back, kids, today for episode number 9. And I expect someone to be going number 9. It's okay, you don't have to. But guys, you've made it. Look, we've got 3 left after today. Well, 4 counting the recap, and we are done as you can be, at least for now. And as we have went through this process, more and more bits of news have been released. By the time you see this, it could be official. Mm-hmm. So I won't release too much because then it'll have some weird time traveling effect and you won't know what's going on. Because right now we're probably woefully behind versus anyway, it gives me a headache. We'll just leave it alone. That's all that. Newspaper. Yes, right? Flash killed in 2050 or whenever it was. All that to say this, whatever happens, we'll be here for it. This is the podcast that never ends, baby. Nope. We're going into episode 9, Joe. Let's start with you. What do you think going into this one? What's your thoughts?
We're in the home straight now. Plot lines are coming to a head. We've only got 3 episodes left, and we've got a lot of stuff to cover. This is one of those ones, though, with the peaks and troughs thing. This is a very, very heartfelt and sentimental episode for a number of reasons. Not just what happens with Colin, but also Nate's seeing like the scales falling from Nate's eyes and seeing what he has given up for his quote unquote dreams. And also there's other things in there as well, but that's the main takeaway of this. But it is a very much not a lot happens in terms of the team. But this is a very character and story based episode, which is I think the better ones of Ted.
Yeah, it's been about a week since I took notes and watched this again, so I'll have to refresh myself as we go. But I don't remember this being a slapstick heavy episode.
No,
a lot of drama.
Very little string around genitals on this one.
Right, yeah. Ouch. By the way, Jay, as Joe referenced, we are in the home stretch. What do you think about this episode going into today's review?
Yeah, I think to kind of like echo what Joe said, like it's definitely there's a lot of character development. Like there's a lot of characters kind of grow into where they're going to be on the last episode at this point. And yeah, it's not just like not a lot of characters that you'd think. Obviously, like Roy's like a really big one. Colin's massive in this episode, and Nate as well. Like they're kind of like the 3 big sort of like characters you sort of follow around in this episode. Yeah, it's a really, really emotional episode, and I forgot how. Because there's parts of like each bit where like I thought this happened at different parts of the series. I didn't think it happened all in this one episode. So it was like rewatching, like Jesus Christ,
yeah,
what's going on here?
It's like the Iron Claw. It's like, come on now, we can't keep having this. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, for real. I'm with both you guys on this one. I think there's, every episode of Ted has jokes. That's what they do. It is a comedy drama on its best day, and it's got a lot of inspirational stuff in it, and some life lessons peppered in. But we can't forget these guys are very, very good at being very, very funny. And but when there's a time to get dramatic, as this episode is, they take it, and they should, because as you said earlier, Jay, world building and driving characters and whatnot, we get a lot of that here. So yes. I'm here.
But again, with Ted, it never feels forced in. The emotional beats never feel forced. It's always a natural progression of the thing. I noticed something when we get to it. I noticed a very subtle thing that I'd never noticed before. And I don't know whether it's only because they do it in this episode, but it now means I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch them just so I can see if I'm right.
Yeah. For every revolution, there is Let It Be, right? And you got rocker, ballad, rocker. You know what I mean? That's kind of how I compare it. So
I evolve. I don't revolve. Yeah.
Very good. Very good. So here we go, kids. Episode number 9, and this is going to be a good one. Can't wait to get into this. This one is called Locker Room Aux Folles. Yeah. Original air date May 10th, 2023. Directed by Erica Dunton. Story by Chuck Hayward. 12 episodes in season 3. You heard that right, kids, as we said before. Indeed, in the home stretch. When last we left the Ted Lasso game, the AFC Richmond squad finally began to find its groove thanks to the implementation of Total Football. Keeley was forced to confront a hacking scandal as explicit content of her was uploaded to the internet, and Jack's misguided efforts to help did more harm than good, ultimately leading to their breakup. Nate's relationship with Jade continued to blossom as Isaac discovered the truth about Colin's secret, and Ted was faced with the possibility of Michelle and Jake getting engaged, permanently closing the door on their relationship. We open on a training montage. The guys are all smiling, hitting their spots, and getting it done. Locker Room Aux Folles from the musical of the same name by George Hearn, Donald Pippin is the opening music, so it already feels like a musical. This musical has actually been twice adapted to a film version. It tells the story of a gay couple and the craziness that occurs when their son introduces his family to his fiancée and her ultra-conservative parents, which already sounds hilarious. I'm just not a musical guy. You know what I mean?
Watch Birdcage with Robin Williams. It's the same film.
Is that what it is? I thought we'd talked about that before.
Yeah. It's just the French version of it. The Robin Williams one's fine because it's Robin Williams doing big Robin Williams stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's no songs in that. I don't think.
There you go.
It's been a while.
Yeah. I'm not into it. We know the
farce.
folks.
It's just a farce. It's a classic farce.
We know the folks behind this show love musicals. I just can't get into it, man.
I've not seen the right ones yet.
Maybe that's what it is. So there's a lot of fans in the stands. We've talked about this before. This is called back to previous episodes. Did you guys notice how the crowd is growing like crazy here too?
Yep, this is just their training sessions, and Ted invited everyone along, and it went from being Baz and Jeremy and them to now near enough a full stand of people now.
Right, yeah.
Which is weird.
Yeah. Roy, Beard, and Ted are on the sidelines watching. This is really good stuff. Roy's saying, I didn't want to say it at the time because I'm trying to be less stuck in my fucking ways. Ted says, but I thought it was nuts to change our entire philosophy and style of play mid-season. Beard says, but Roy says, but it's fucking great. It's really good. Ted says, they're having fun. We're having fun. These folks are having fun. It's a whole bunch of fun. Beard says, this is the best line of the show. Beard says, I haven't seen 22 dudes have this good a time on grass since I saw the Grateful Dead jamming with the Black Crowes and Fish.
Oh, that sounds good. No, it was terrible, but they were having fun. I can imagine. Just the worst bunch of jam bands. Yeah. Oh.
Isaac scores a goal and the guys are really killing it. Jay, this might be and we always throw it to you for the football stuff because you're our football guy. But this may be more of a player question, but you may just have a feel for this anyway. If training is going extremely well, is that an indication of what you can expect in the game, or is it just are these guys truly playing that hard with each other? Are they easing up? Do you know what I mean? I'm curious.
Yeah, yes and no. So you can see teams who say they're doing really well in training, and then they get on the pitch and it all falls apart. Which kind of happens in this episode, to be fair. I think one thing that they kind of try and emphasize is you can see they're all really enjoying just playing football. A lot of the time when you see a player who's playing really well, you'll see, like an example's Mo Salah for Liverpool at the moment. He's playing very, very well, and he's got a big smile on his face while he's playing the whole time, and you can see he's just enjoying himself, as well as, unfortunately for me, because I don't support Liverpool, being one of the best players in the league and scoring a ton of goals. But yeah, you tend to see it a lot of times when there's footballers who are just like not thinking about, oh God, we've got this, and just enjoying themselves playing the game. They'll always play better than when they're like hyper focused and like I have all this stress on me to try and do well. And it's just one of those things. I think that's what they're trying to sort of portray. Like, oh yeah, they've got everything working and training, so why can't they just put that onto, like, have that translate onto the pitch? And obviously, with like as we get through the episode, we find out they are on a winning streak and a good run of games, and it is just like one sort of like thing where one of the players isn't in the right headspace, which kind of like disrupts everything and puts a cat amongst the pigeons.
I like the way you put that. That makes sense. Roy doesn't blow the whistle. He says whistle. That's his thing. He says, that's half. Great job. Ted says, "Ooh, you hear that? Roy said y'all did a great job." And Beard, throws himself back and like faints very cartoonishly. Dude, I love that. I would say it's out of place, but it's not. But like the way they just kind of sporadically put those reactions in is hilarious to me.
Yeah, it's just the little bounce shots of Beard breaking Beard's own sort of like kayfabe of himself a bit. Like, yeah. He's it's very, and Roy as well, like sort of opening up a little bit to people. It's
well, it's very important that Roy says what he says at the start of this episode, where he's trying not to be so set in his ways.
Yes.
Because as this episode goes on, he becomes less and less set in his ways.
Ooh, that's good. Yeah. And it reminds me of the Zava episode when every time they mention his name, Beard did the that freaking sound he did. It was freaking great, man. That's what it reminds me of. It's a very cartoonish thing happening. Colin goes up to Isaac and says, "Nice shot, mate." Isaac doesn't speak and just walks off. Guys, I remember watching this for the first time, and I actually thought, is Isaac homophobic? Like, that kind of is where they were leading you, right?
That's
is
exactly
he just
where it's supposed to lead you? Yeah.
Is he a macho
Absolutely
footballer? Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And you know what? Again, none of these people are real, but I remember being disappointed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he's not real.
Same.
Right?
No, but you've got quite a good insight into them and how they view the world as the show's gone on, and you think Isaac seems fairly switched. Seems like a fairly switched on fella. You know what I mean? Like, but
he definitely seems like one of the more sort of like purer in his morals out of the team.
Yeah.
Like when you look obviously with the Sam thing, and he got everyone together to like fix Sam's restaurant, and the thing with Keeley where he got everyone to delete the nudes. Like again, it's probably just them setting it up to this moment where then you have to question, is Isaac's morality where we think it is, or is it like,
or is it that he is a good moral person, but this is where he draws the line for him? That's it is. I think it's very much set up with the previous couple of episodes of him being the one. He's the captain. He's leads the locker room, but he's still a good enough man to not tell anyone as well.
Yeah,
because he could very easily have gone and blabbed to everyone, but he hasn't.
That's true.
That's the thing that always held me back a bit. Going, well, he's not told anyone, so there must be a reason for it. But it is set up so that you think, he just doesn't like gay people.
And the bait and switch works. Man, does it work when the thing happens in the crowd. Whew. Can't wait for that. It really works then. Then you're like, oh, I get it. You know what I mean? Like, it takes you a while to get there, but you get it.
Yeah.
So back in the locker room, Danny is doing Danny stuff, and he's sniffing his socks. And he says, "I Chihuahua. I can't believe that a grown man had to say that." Not had to say it, but I Chihuahua. I can't remember which pair is clean and which one is dirty. Sam says, "You bundle your dirty socks." Danny says, just because they're dirty doesn't mean they don't deserve to have a friend. Colin says he's right. After all, we're all mates with Richard, which is a great line.
And then Richard just kind of goes, which is good as well.
Dude, again, Richard so much in this episode.
It must be his turn.
Yeah.
It must be his week.
Yeah. Colin approaches Isaac and asks if he wants to get a beer and have a chat. Isaac says no and walks off. And then you're like, oh, still? But then Colin suddenly smells something. He turns around to see Danny, who says, I shows the dirty socks. Oops. And he walks off. Oh, man.
Doesn't go and change them. Just, that's me for the day. Yep.
Oh, well. So Rebecca and Keeley are in Rebecca's office. Rebecca says, so have you heard from Jack yet? And Keeley says, you know how you're never supposed to write another text to an unanswered chat or an unanswered text? And she says, of course. Oh, God, you sent a double text. Then she scrolls through Keeley's phone, and it's just nothing but blue.
That's a lot of blue.
A lot of blue. So much blue. She says, I know. It's like I got diarrhea of the thumbs or something.
It's a great line.
Ted walks in and says, uh-oh, when girl talk turns into girl hug, you know that either means something horrible's happened or absolutely nothing at all. And that's a call back to probably, I think, season 2 or season 1. I think
it's season 1, isn't it? When they first start to make friends, Keeley and Rebecca. Yeah. But Ted brought, this made me laugh. Ted brought biscuits. I brought some for you, Keeley, as well. And it's just got 40 quid in there.
Yeah. Oh, that's
I didn't know you were going to be here. So have some cash.
I just threw it in. I love how she made out like, wow, there's like that number. Oh, that's pretty good. You know what I mean? That was nice too. Ted tells a story of first she wants to go on a break and now the old digital Irish goodbye, which is a term I never really understood because I got a buddy back home named Seamus O'Malley. Boy, if that isn't freaking stereotype, I don't know what is.
Oh, but he's got a big old potato head, yeah.
Yeah. And that son of a gun hugs folks goodbye for like minutes before he leaves anywhere. Yeah. And then he asks if he could skip the press conference due to parent-teacher conference with Michelle, and Rebecca says yes. Keeley offers that Roy can do it. He hates it, but he's good at it. Ted commends her for coming up with it, even though she's heartbroken. She corrects him and says that she's only heart bent, and that Ted proceeds to write a country song on the spot.
Ted just does some Ted stuff and walks off. Yeah.
Yeah. I love the way he sings it, and then he just looks at them both. He's like, you can tell it didn't land. He goes, right, I'll leave you guys to it.
I'll go. Yeah. But then walks off with verse 2. Like,
yeah. It's very rare though that Ted like realizes that a joke just didn't land.
I like to think that in the script for those bits it just says Ted does Ted stuff in parentheses, and they just figure it out.
Yeah.
I feel like Sudeikis is very good at like improv, so I think.
Yeah.
I feel like
it's him like fully embodying the character, like Alan Partridge. Like, there's very little separation between Steve Coogan and Alan Partridge, I don't think. Or he can fully get inside the skin of him. Like, so I think that's the same thing with Sudeikis, is that he's made this character from what was an advert for
a TV commercial,
TV commercial, into like a fully fleshed out person. So I think to do that, you have to workshop it and get into the Ted space. Support of Ted headspace.
It only took us 3 seasons for me to say this out loud for some weird reason, but I'm not a full-time SNL follower, really. I think the last time I followed religiously when it was Farley and Sandler and those guys. But like, this show makes me want to go back and look up Sudeikis' stuff. You know what I mean?
He had some good stuff on SNL. I watched quite a lot of it during the pandemic and was just like, funnily enough, that's kind of what got me interested in Ted Lasso, because I saw that and I was like, oh, Jason Sudeikis is in that. Oh, cool.
Nice.
And, some very good sketches.
By the way, Hit Monkey, if you still haven't checked it out, it's so good. I'm a big advocate for Hit Monkey.
Keep me into chat though.
Dude, you hear him talk and you're like, that's Ted. He's not even trying to do it. It's like Ted talking, and he's an assassin. It's awesome. It's very disarming.
Assassin.
I'm telling you, he's very disarming.
Well, that's the thing though. Whenever I see Jason Sudeikis in anything now, it's just going to be Ted being that
Yes.
person. Like William
Yeah.
Shatner when he was T.J. Hooker. That's just Captain Kirk come to work to be a policeman for a week. Like,
I love that we got a T.J. Hooker reference on this show.
come on.
Probably the
that
first
could
time.
be an episode of Star Trek as well. That's the funny part about
Yeah,
it.
they could go to the cowboy planet or the gangster world. Like,
Yeah.
That's awesome.
but it's the same with Steve Coogan. Whenever you see Steve Coogan and stuff, it's always Alan Partridge being Tony Wilson. Like, it's never Steve Coogan doing acting. It's always Alan Partridge doing a bit. That's how I view it, and because they're just so synonymous with them in my head now.
I love Steve Coogan from Tropic Thunder. It's just a very small part, but like love him in that movie. So Keeley and Rebecca see Roy on the hall, and Rebecca says, "Speak of the devil," and he just goes, "Okay." Like that's all. You know.
I don't think he understands the saying.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's the way he goes, "Okay, Keeley."
Yeah. Rebecca says, "I need you to fill in for Ted at today's press conference if that's okay." Roy goes, "Fuck no."
No.
And then he's like, "I mean, why can't Ted do it?" Like he sees that's the boss you just said that to, right?
Yeah.
And then she didn't say anything. He goes, "I mean, I'd love to." And Rebecca's like, "Wonderful." They just walk off, and of course he goes, "Fuck."
I heard that.
That was awesome. Yeah. So great.
I love Roy and Rebecca's like chemistry they have on screen. Like you don't see them in many scenes together, but whenever you do, they're just like gold together.
Yeah. Yeah, they have a different dynamic too. Like
Also, as they walk away, Keeley gives him a little turn as well.
oh, that's
Roy,
right. She does.
Yeah.
Well done. Yeah.
It's a different thing with those two because, like, Roy's just used to doing whatever Roy wants. And, like, Rebecca's gone, fine, whatever, he's getting results. But if I ask you to do something, and Roy doesn't know how to deal with being told what to do.
Yes, good call. Yeah, really good call. We switch gears, kids, and go to West Ham, to Nate's office specifically. Jade has brought him lunch, and Derek has allowed it as long as she brings him something with a West Ham logo. So then Nate goes nuts, and he gets her an armful of crap, including his coffee cup, which he just throws the liquid out.
Yeah, a mouse mat. It's like a scarf, load of random tap. He's just got around his office. Yeah.
Which technically you shouldn't be giving out a program for the next game. Like break and release.
Well,
hey, this is yet another sign that the old Nate's starting to come back because, like, you know what I mean? This is a sign, I think.
The way this starts is quite funny, isn't it? Because she like does the whole like thing where she gets his name wrong, like that little running joke they have.
Yeah,
and he's instantly, because he doesn't look up, he's like, "It's Shelley," and thinking it's like one of his underlings, and then he looks up and realizes it's Jade, and then he goes back to like giddy Nate.
Very good. Yeah,
it's
very good.
Again, there is a little bit later on. It's a little split screen thing where you see his phone, and he's left a 2.5 minute voice note, and she's left 5 seconds.
I did notice that.
Yeah, so he's just done his Nate thing of rambling on, and she's just gone fine. Like that's it. Like I think that sums it up perfectly. Like he's back. Nate's back. Like
yeah.
This is the last vestige of old Nate being washed away this episode when we see what happens.
What's good here is that Rupert comes in and sees him kissing a little bit. He's immediately creepy, makes her skin crawl. She greets him by saying he introduced her, and she says it's worthwhile to meet you. Which I found
she's tremendous with these.
She sees right through his bullshit.
Backhanded comments, but this was the thing I didn't notice until before. When they're kissing and stuff, the music in the background is starting, and then as soon as Rupert's about to appear, the music changes very subtly and changes into like a minor key.
I totally missed that.
No, I only listened to it, and every time he appears in this episode, the music subtly sort of alters.
I feel like it's a bit more noticeable in this episode because it's literally like Nate's sort of shift from being like old Nate to the Nate that Rupert wants him to be.
Yeah, it's just a very, very little. Oh, that's quite well done, and you wouldn't notice it until I was like, rewind that. Yeah, it just subtly changes into a sinister tone. Yeah,
until you're watching it under a microscope like we are.
Well, yes, there is that. But yeah, he's just awful to her, and it's like fair play to her.
But the other thing as well is obviously, like Rebecca says, like he's got a way where he can just charm anyone, even if like you think he's like a complete creep, he'll find a way to charm you, and he does that in this scene where he like goes, "I'm really good at dialects. You're from this part of Poland." She goes, "Oh yeah, actually I am," and you see she's sort of like warming around to him, but then obviously he starts like talking down to Nate again, and it's just like she's just like, "Oh no, fuck this guy." But
Yeah,
for a moment,
yeah, there is that. It's all superficial. It's all surface level with him, though, as we've said before. Like,
it's a big old power play, isn't it? Everything he does.
But when he leaves, she's like, he seems rich. Yeah, it's like she's got no time for him. Like she knows, she sees him for what he is.
There are undertones of this scene that, in some weird way, suggest to me that God, there is so much ability for this guy to be a real person. Like, he is insanely charming. And even though we know he's insanely creepy and stuff, but like, you know, when he walks out, he turns around, looks at Nate, he goes, "Don't screw this up," which I personally didn't take that to be anything bad. I think it just seemed like he's smiling and stuff. And I'm like, he seems close to being a normal person, but then if you know the character, you're like, he's so far away from being anything that's good.
Oh,
he's so freaking evil.
The thing is, though, Nate knows what Rupert did with like Rebecca and that. So
true.
While Jade might not know that Rupert's being a massive hypocrite saying that, Nate absolutely does.
Yeah,
like,
I also think
there's no way where Nate doesn't think Rupert's a fucking hypocrite for saying that.
But I also think Rupert says it to just try and sow some seed of dissent between the two of them. Like, he just can't stand anyone else to be happy because he's such a soulless and miserable man.
Yeah, he's jealous of the fact that Nate's found love, like that someone who genuinely just seems to care about him.
Yeah, doesn't want him for his tactics or anything, just genuinely likes Nate.
Whereas he sees Nate as just like a sort of almost like a show pony that he's got for like, this is my guy who's winning me all my football matches at my football club sort of thing.
And I took him away from my ex-wife's team as well.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a horrible bird. I mean, I know he's supposed to be horrible, and we say this every time he's on, but of all the people who could be redeemed, he's the only one that could not be redeemed. Because he doesn't want to be. He's happy being a slime ball.
Yeah. Well, more to come on that because it gets worse. It gets worse in this one. So back at the dog track, Higgins comes in, talks to Rebecca about Ted not being at the press conference. She says, "Oh, I asked Roy to fill in, but Roy's not doing it." And we go to the press room and it's chaos. We see a wild-eyed Beard. He's like this.
Oh,
unhinged. Yes, going back and forth with Gary. "That is not what I said, Gary." He's doing that. He says, "I have your quote right here." And Lloyd goes, "You did say it, Coach." And Beard's like, "Stay out of this, Lloyd." He's going crazy. And Sarah's like, "Don't shout at Lloyd." So good. Gary says, "You said," and I quote, "Joe Walsh is a better guitarist than Jimmy Page." Beard says, "Fine, I said it. But what I meant was that Joe Walsh underrated, Jimmy Page overrated. And that makes him even crazier." And Beard says, "I mean, Joe Walsh is a poet. Jimmy Page is a fucking court stenographer on Adderall."
It's a great line.
Great line. Gary says, "You're out of your mind. Page could beat Walsh with one string." Beard says, "What do you mean beat him? It's not," he goes, "it's not a competition, man.
It's not a competition.
It's art, you fucking Neanderthal." And that's when Rebecca brushes in. Hold on. Yeah. And Higgins is dragging Beard from the table. And as he's going out the door, Stairway to Heaven is a glorified fingering exercise, and you all know it. Awesome.
He's right. But yes.
They're not even talking about the game.
Like, no. But then also, like, Higgins has to stand at the glass because Beard's trying to get back in.
That's right. Yeah.
Against the glass.
Oh my God.
But then
Whatever.
But then Rebecca tries. She's like, "All right, well, I'll do the press conference then." And they immediately ask, "Who is your favorite '70s rock guitarist?"
Yes.
It's not even about this.
Oh, and everyone in the gallery just leans forward, waiting for her answer. You see that? They're all leaning forward. And then when she's out, Rebecca and Higgins are out of the room, and she's like, apparently she said the guy from Cream, which is like, what?
Eric Clapton.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But that she
Like
said the guy from
world
Cream,
famous
which
guitarist,
is awesome.
but the guy from Cream, which
Awesome.
is not whatever. But Higgins,
By the way,
that as well. You said the guy from Cream.
So good. By the way, this beard stuff. Here's what I'll say about a potential next season. If right, gotta give me some beard, dude. I gotta have beard. It's not the same.
Well,
I'm telling you.
That would make sense, knowing what we know.
Yeah.
Yes. So, yeah, really good. So, let's see. We see the weight room. Yep. Where Jamie is telling Roy he's already done his 20. Roy tells him if they don't start counting, it tells them they don't start counting till it hurts. And then suddenly, Rebecca, she just bursts in and she gives the Kent "Oi" sound, which is great. Kent, get your hairy arse in my office now. And storms out. Players are murmuring and chuckling, and they go, ooh, and they all stop, and he turns around. Every single one of you knows my arse isn't hairy, yet none of you spoke up, and I will never forgive you. What a great freaking line. And he's serious, too.
He's so angry as well.
He's so angry about this.
Yeah.
It's great.
But then Isaac sits there and he's like, we should have said something.
Yeah, we're cowards. He's right, we're cowards. Now, she was talking about Richard's butt, and the guys all agree, and Richard blows them kisses, which is nice. Colin sees Trent in his office, and he goes in to talk to him. Ted's on the phone with the parent-teacher conference as Colin shuts the door, and he tells Trent Isaac knows. And Trent says that Ted's son is failing science. Scandal. He obviously knows that they're talking about Isaac. He says, how did he react? He goes, not good. He won't talk to me. Trent says, give him a minute. You shouldn't have to, but some people need it. Don't forget, you've known you were gay for years. That line, it's one line by one character in season 3. God, that's well written. That's so well written to me.
He says, no, you know you've been gay for 20 years. And then Colin's like, oh, no, I knew from birth. I came out of my mother and never looked back, which is a brilliant
So good.
line.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And he thanks him and he walks out. When the door opens back up, Ted is being Ted on the phone. And we can hear Michelle saying they need to let the teacher go because he's just doing the Ted stuff.
He's doing bits. Yeah, he's got puppets, I think, at some point.
Oh, man. In Rebecca's office, Roy says, what the fuck is your problem? She goes, oh, wait, I know this one. You are. If I ask you to do a press conference, do the fucking press conference. He goes, okay, shit, I'm sorry. I didn't realize it was a big deal. So you just didn't do it? Is that the plan for the rest of your life? You're just going to walk away from everything the second it isn't fun or easy? Because what do you want, Roy? What do you really want? He said, I just want to be left alone. She goes, oh, bullshit. You want way more than that. You're just so convinced that you don't deserve anything good in your life that you'd rather eat a bowl of shit soup and then complain about the portions. What? That's awesome.
It's a banger, yeah.
Oh, get out of your own way, man.
There like a child being admonished at this point.
Yes.
I don't think anyone's spoken to him like this ever.
No.
It definitely, though, like you see like the expression change on his face. It does serve as like a wake up call. Like you could be so much better than what you are.
Yeah.
And you deserve so much better than what you think you do. And I think until this moment, especially because obviously like Roy broke up with Keeley and Rebecca's been trying to sort of like go at him about that. Like, you like when she says the line about, oh yeah, she's going to see someone who actually thinks they deserve it.
Yeah.
And she's been sort of planting these seeds with Roy that this confrontation was coming very, very subtly, but she has very subtly been doing that. And I think now he's finally heard that it's exactly what he needed.
Yes. Yeah. After the calamitous Keeley approach in the last episode.
Yeah.
Roy needed to be set straight a wee bit about stuff.
Well,
and he does.
I hadn't even. Yeah, I was gonna say I hadn't even thought of that. Like, that's something as well. Where obviously he's probably the way Roy reacts to things is he does just kind of like, if things aren't going his way, sort of shrink away, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And he's probably like at not an all-time low, but he's probably at a massive low after the whole thing with the Keeley stuff. And then it's like, well, yeah, you need something to kick him up the arse here.
Yeah, she tells him, get out of your own way, because this whole woe's me thing you got going on is just fucking ponderous. Which is, yeah, good line. Back at West Ham, Rupert checks in on Nate at the board as he's preparing for the game, and Nate tells him, I think we should play without a goalie, just to give him a chance. Like, his little bits of confidence. Again, I've come full circle with this character, man. Like, we can get to this later, but like, I just love the idea of, God, he's very good at what he's doing. And I kind of hate later we'll get into it when we get into it, but like, I think that's the only real plus that's come of this thing is that, man, he's good. And he is at his best. He's very confident in his ability to do this. I don't think he's flexing for Rupert per se. Do you? Like,
no, I think it's he's got nothing to say to Rupert. They're not on the same level. Like,
that's fair. Yeah.
So he has to just. And what does anyone do? I do it. You just make jokes because that's just easier than having to try and connect with someone that you haven't got anything in common with. So every time he speaks to him, every time he's tried to make a connection with him, Rupert's blown him off, and so he's just realised that tell him what he wants to hear.
Rupert sees the baklava and takes a piece before Nate can say it's okay, and there's an obvious like, and I'm like, that's weird. Don't just take the guy's food, dude. I don't know why I bumped into that.
It's power.
Yeah, it's a power play.
I can take what's yours.
Yeah.
And what are you going to do about it?
And again, that might be why, obviously, like Rupert being creepy with Jade before what happens later. Like that's probably the direction he's going. Let's face it.
Yeah.
Like Rupert sees something he wants, not because he really wants it, but because it's somebody else's, whether that's the baklava or whether it's Nate's relationship with Jade. It doesn't really matter. It's to him, he's just like, oh well, I'm like a billionaire. I should be able to have whatever I want. And it's that rich again, as Jade said earlier. He was very rich. You can tell he's rich.
But it's a child. It's an infant's mentality of, you've got it, I want it, even though I have no use for it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure. He said it was lovely meeting Kate, and Nate corrects him on the name. Rupert says, nothing like the love of a woman as he walks out. Who talks that way? Weirdo. It's game day for
evil men in polo necks.
Evil men in polo necks. Yeah. Christian Cage. I'm just saying. Yes. Oh my God, he's Christian Cage. Oh, I just got that. Yeah, with the hair and the thing and oh, wow. Wonderful. Oh my God. Oh, I can't not see that now. Every time I see Chris, I'll be like, oh, it's Rupert. Game day for West Ham versus Southampton. We don't see this too often, guys, that it's two teams that are not, one of them is not Richmond. I mean, you can probably count on one hand the number of times we've seen this happen. I can't recall the last time.
I think it's only West Ham games normally, isn't it? I think we see.
Yeah,
only when Ted and oh God, what's his name? Henry
showed up at that game.
Went to the West Ham game, but otherwise than that,
yeah. Nate and the team are walking out. Rupert tells him, he says, "Go get him, killer." Nate says, "I hope their kit man brought 11 body bags." That's tight.
Again, though, Rupert, it's just a bit. Can I go now?
Yeah. He's just acting like a prick because Rupert wants him to act like a prick, isn't he?
Yeah, that's fair.
Pretty much.
Rupert invites him out for a drink after the game. Says he wants it to be a guys' night, just the two of them. Nate is awkward as always, but says yes. Then walks away, and you can tell his chest is puffed up. He's feeling pretty good himself. Which he doesn't have any.
Nothing worse than having a night out with Rupert, to be honest.
Well, we'll get to that.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I mean, he already tried it before, didn't he? With Anastasia. Like, Nate should have known that, A, there's only going to be one bar they're going to because it's the only bar they ever go to.
Ever. Yeah.
Yeah. Is it Bones and Honey? Yeah.
Bones and Honey.
It's going to be awful.
Yeah.
We also have game day at the dog track as the Greyhounds are facing Brighton. Arlo says, while here at Nelson Road, the Red Hot Greyhounds face Brighton. Chris says, color red tops off at about centigrade, Arlo. The way Richmond are playing, a more accurate description will be yellow hot. Arlo says, thank you for correcting me, Chris. And next time, feel free to wait until we're off the air. I had to say that. That was really good.
Boink Studios is the home of Tom Clark's Main Event, Tom Clark's 6M podcast, and Two Nations Under Ted, a Ted Lasso podcast. Visit the site today for links to every podcast platform, social media, special announcements, and a lot more. Check out the site and bookmark today, boinkstudios.com.
We see the guys in the pub. May has brought them champagne glasses. They're so full in the pub that they ran out of pint glasses.
So they've given them lager and champagne flutes.
That's not how it works.
I was going to ask.
If I was getting charged for a pint and I got a champagne, I'd be, yeah. But I like the fact they drink it. It tastes nicer.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if we're getting into it, they wouldn't be allowed to anyway because of weights and measures, would they?
Yes, I know. Yeah.
Because
you can only serve it in pint and half pint, and maybe thirds as well now.
I think it's
what your license allows.
Thirds and 2/3 as well, yeah.
Depending on what your license allows for, but this is boring legal stuff.
Plus, well, to make it even more boring, I'm sure that where you guys are, there is such thing as like maximum occupancy. Like, in other words,
yeah.
You're limited to 50 or whatever it is, and then you have to stop, right?
It's probably more because I've worked in enough busy pubs where it's like you will run out of glasses because people are just
not
making it hard for you to be able to get them in like clean, yeah.
Right.
But and trying to put beer in hot glasses is not a good idea.
Just have plastic glasses for that anyway.
For match day, yeah.
For match day, then
non-regulars.
Technically, they're meant to have plastic glasses in a lot of places, just in case, obviously.
Well, they can drink outside on the street, so technically, yeah, they should have had plastic glasses or been given the option of having plastic glasses if they're drinking outside.
Yeah. This
is all very boring and legal. But also, that pub looks no more full than it does on any other match day.
No. Unless again we can't see outside. You could have have a screen outside on those benches.
So back at the dog track, Higgins, Rebecca, and Keeley are sitting together. Jack has finally texted back to say she's in Argentina for the next couple of months. You couldn't have answered any of those messages. Like, I got no patience for people that can't answer text messages. I'm here to tell you.
It's power and control. Oh, you're still there. Yeah, I'm not around anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We never liked Jack from the start. We were all right.
Yeah. And to your point, Keeley gives them a chance to say what they want to say about her since she and Jack are officially broken up. Higgins only complains that her handshake was way too firm. He says, good riddance.
Was it the start of this scene where she goes, have you just texted me, Leslie?
Yes.
I'm sitting here.
Yeah. Weird.
Well, I know that now. I'm like, what did you forget?
What did you forget? Yeah.
I love the fact as well, though, like when Keeley says, oh yeah, she's my ex, now you can say what you didn't like about her. And Rebecca's like being quite like sort of like conservative about it. Like she's about to say something like, oh, you know, and Higgins just like bursts in with that. She's far too friendly with a handshake. Good riddance.
Yeah. That's awesome. Like, of all the things you could say, right?
Yeah, but Higgins he's weirdly set in his ways, isn't he? Like,
you can tell Higgins has like a proper limp handshake, can't you?
Yeah, he's socking a cup handshake. Yeah.
Oh man, I've known both, and one I'll never remember. I won't remember who this person is till I shake his hand again, because it escapes me. But I used to dread shaking his hand because it was.
One of them.
I mean, it's almost like he didn't know how to, or like he'd been working a plow for 20 years. Cause like, you don't stand a chance Like you're dead man. You know what I mean? Like it's like it's like Superman with General Zod in Superman 2 crunching his fingers. You're like, oh Jesus.
Probably the best tactic then is just go, ah! Like that, because they won't do it again.
Drop to one knee like in wrestling.
Dead.
Yeah. Ah!
What was that for?
Yeah. In the locker room, Colin tries to bump fists with Isaac, and he's not having it, so we're still doing this. Ted, Beard, and Roy come in, and Ted says, who do we have today? Please. Why are we still doing those bits? So, who's playing? I just woke up. What's going on? I don't know. It's weird to me.
Brighton and Hove Albion.
It's game day.
I think Ted is absolutely doing this, though, for the bit now.
Yeah.
At least. For sure.
There's no chance in hell, especially, for a fact, as soon as he found out Brighton are called Brighton and Hove Albion, he's been sat on that one for, like, the next fixture.
Yeah, he's got about 12 in the locker ready to go, and he's just rifling through thinking, what's the best one? Yeah.
I didn't know we were playing a law firm.
He'll never beat. Yeah, he'll never beat the Wolverhampton Wanderers one though. With Roy in the background going, no.
Oh, they all bring their hands in. Isaac moves his hand so he's not touching Colin's hand. At this point, I am over this guy. I'm thinking, you are horrible. Like, what is wrong with this guy? But I mean, we find out later.
Again, this really drives home that point of, oh, mate, he's probably homophobic. Yeah.
Yeah. In the game, Isaac makes an error and is heckled by someone in the stands. And is this the same guy we talked about? Was it last episode that was heckling?
The same guy. Yeah, he pops up much earlier in the season, and then he pops up like the last episode as well. As soon as he's like a reoccurring thing, it's like, all right, he's going to be important in some way.
Yeah. I think we said that at the time too, if I'm remembering right. Mm-hmm. So the game is on, and Colin tries passing, but Brighton intercepts and scores. Isaac goes at him, and this gets Ted's attention on the sideline. Sam's having to hold Isaac back. Again, at this point, I am done with Isaac. I'm like, all right, this is enough, dude.
With that, I didn't have much of an issue with like the actual like yelling at him on the pitch, because you see that all the time. Like he's the captain. He's seen one of his players make a really costly error. Like not with the level of aggression that he's doing it, but you'd expect the captain to sort of like yell at them and be like,
but also just before that,
doing there?
McAdoo made a big error that resulted in a corner.
Oh yeah.
So, glass houses and all that.
I wouldn't have said that was an error, personally.
I don't know enough about football to merit that. The commentary said it was an error.
They said it was. I thought it was good defending myself.
I'll take your word for it over there.
Well, look at it this way. If you're putting the ball out for a corner, you're stopping the team from attacking for a moment. You're giving yourself a chance to, because they're literally putting the ball into the penalty box. You're giving yourself as much of a chance to clear it as you are giving them to score.
Yes,
so you've got a bit more control than if they're just running at you.
And Van Damme just picks it out of the air anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Which Jamie thanks him for. And then he goes, no, it's Van Damme. And he's like, okay.
And plus,
does Jamie not know he's been called Van Damme for ages now?
Right.
I think Jamie's ignoring it because it's a Zabba thing.
Oh, all right, fair enough.
And plus,
that's my logic behind it.
We know Isaac's behavior is exacerbated by his frustration with Colin.
Yeah.
Of course. So Colin passes to Sam. Sam back and forth to Danny. They go for a score and they don't get it. The heckler's still going off from the stands. And as they're leaving the pitch, he suddenly says the F word. And it's not the F-bomb, kids. It's the other F word.
It's the other F word. It's the bad F word.
You notice that Colin stops for half sec and then just keeps walking because he's not heard it directed at himself, but he knows what it means.
Yeah, I think Colin's probably like desensitized himself to it. Like it's one of those things. Like we spoke about it in the past, where there's not many openly gay footballers for that reason, because they know they're going to just unfortunately get that level of abuse. And until someone's kind of like in that position where they can bring more eyes to it, it'll never
go away.
Sadly, it'll never change. Unless like you call people out, and a lot of clubs are brilliant with that, where they will ban people for any kind of hate speak at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is. I think they did a very good job of kind of like showcasing exactly what players go through with this.
Yeah. Again, it's that thing that we get to. It's like, yeah, you can go and boo and yell and stuff, but you can't. There's a line that you don't cross. Same as wrestling. You can boo it, but you don't. You know what I mean? It's it's they're people at the end of the day as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I only noticed this when I rewatched it, that he's still got the old Richmond shirt on with the.
So it'll be like an ultra.
Well, no, he's got it with the airline that Sam covered up.
Oh,
so he's got the old shirt on. Yeah, you see, it's just a little thing, and I thought,
good catch, man.
He's probably doing it on purpose because
done. Good
woke.
catch.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the only one that has it too. I'm looking at it right now. Oh, good catch. Yeah.
Well, like I think that's something as well. Like at football games, there'll always be like one mouthy prick who's just like not happy with the team, even if they're doing okay. And like they're only 1-0 down. They're against Brighton. Brighton are a good team, but they're not a team that Richmond can't like come back against, especially given the way they're playing. But yeah, it's like you do see people like that at football games, unfortunately. Not like sometimes throwing hate speech, but not like that. Just generally being angry at the team because.
Why would you spend your money to go and watch it and be angry every week? Just I don't know.
Ask Everton fans, mate.
Go Laser Quest. I don't know. Just do something more productive with your time.
Well, let's don't forget the word fan comes from fanatic, right?
Yeah.
So,
that's true.
As we know, Isaac ain't walking. He stops and he goes into the stands. For our American listeners, you probably, if you know the NBA, you know about the Malice in the Palace, and it was between the Pacers and the Pistons at the Palace in Auburn Hills, Michigan. This took place on November 19, 2004, when Ron Artest stormed into the stands because something was thrown at him. There was a lot of jibber jabber going on, and I remember watching this in real time. Stunned. I don't know that we'd ever seen anything in the NBA like that up to that point, but he goes into the stands. I think he was suspended the next season. I mean, heavy fines in place. There were other players involved. I mean, it was a mess. It was ridiculous. Jay, I'll throw it to you. You're a fan. How often do we see things like this? I know like maybe, I don't know, other countries are different, you know, the passion of the players and everything, but like, let's keep it to Premier League. How often do you see this happen?
I can only think of it happening once. Is it the one you think, Joe?
It's the only one I know of, yeah.
That was what, like 96?
It was ace.
Yeah. So basically, Eric Cantona, who used to play for Manchester United and Leeds.
Imagine a French Roy Kent.
Yeah, that pretty much sums him up. Yeah, I can't even remember why he did it.
The guy was yelling at racist, xenophobic stuff at him, I believe.
Yeah,
because he was French,
and he just basically like went and like claymored him in the crowd.
Yeah, he just like sprinted over and just hoofed him. It was tremendous.
I'll send you a video of it after this, Tom.
Wonderful.
It's insane. You do every now and again, like, so there was one actually, it wasn't Premier League, but it was international, in the Copa America in Vegas, actually. I don't know if you saw about that. There was a game between, I think it was Uruguay and Argentina, or Uruguay and Colombia. And essentially there was like a little bit of a fight between fans in the crowd, but it was in the section where like a lot of the players' families were. So like a ton of the Uruguayan national team like ran into the stand and started beating up these fans, like
wow.
who were like fighting by their families.
Wow, it's like football warriors. This is great.
Oh, it's insane.
Mm.
It's insane. Because I think a couple of those players got bans for it. I know Cantona got like what it was like 18 months, wasn't it? Maybe 2 years.
Yeah, he got a long.
He got a big ban.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I'm going to ask this, and everybody's going to have a different opinion because everyone's different on this, right? But like, you two guys, I mean, is there a line? Like, should players? Because you always hear like, "Oh, you're a millionaire. You played so much money. Get over yourself. You got to be above that. It's just words." Like, how much of that? How much of that's do you buy into, and how much of it's like, all right, that's enough? Like, I mean, obviously, we're not condoning players jumping to the stands in any sport, but still, like, where's the line at here?
I think a lot of you're only human, aren't you?
Yeah, sure. Words have meaning. Words have power. Like like I said before, you can say it, you can boo, and you can call them a knobhead and stuff, but there's certain things that you don't say. Like it's pretty easy. I've seen it at wrestling shows and stuff where people go too far with it, and you're like, mate, there's no need for that. Like, you can boo and call them a whammer and all of that, but you don't make it personal. You don't say certain things. It's The Simpsons. Daryl. It's that. Single tear.
Yeah, I'm back and forth on it. I think there's a line. I mean, we've heard, and speaking of NBA, I know that there's been things in the past. Some people have the nerve to bring up girlfriends and spouses, and I'm like, you're 30 feet from the edge of the court. You know they're gonna and of course you're gonna get thrown out. You friggin' idiot! What are you thinking? Yeah. Like,
and how much of them tickets you've just wasted to go and yell at a man who probably couldn't care less.
Thank you.
But it's the equivalent of those people who say stupid things on Twitter and then are proud of the fact that whoever they've commented on blocked them. Oh, they can't handle it. I just can't be bothered dealing with your nonsense, mate.
Yeah,
That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
You've been removed. I've still got your money.
Yeah.
Well, but I'm annoyed. I'm annoyed that Isaac didn't lamp him. Like,
I was wanting something to happen.
He nearly did.
He nearly did, and he kind of gets pulled back.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the thing is like a lot of in football, this is mainly in Italy, it happens for some reason, is that like if there's any kind of like, because there's like quite a lot of like racial abuse from fans to players in Italy, and if there's anything that happens with that, all the players just leave the pitch, refuse to come back on until either it stops or the fans remove, and it's one of those things where it's like, all right, one person's stupid actions costs everyone, but it also like sends a very impactful message that if you're going to do this, we're just not going to play for you.
Yep.
And then usually the game will get either if it gets abandoned, it'll get replayed behind closed doors, and then it's one idiot or a group of idiots hurting a ton of fans who haven't done anything wrong. So it's I think that would be the way I'd say to like combat it. It's one of those things, unfortunately, until they start like giving out fines to fans or just lifetime bans, it won't stop happening as much as it should. But
they have banned people here, haven't they?
They have banned people here for they ban people here for like racially abusing people on social media as well.
Good.
Like if a player's been like sent any kind of like abusive stuff on social media, and the club finds out who it is, they'll go, all right, we're banning you. You're not allowed on our ground.
Wow.
Good. Well done, those people.
So
social media people, not the racists.
Right.
Just wanted to clear that up. I'm not condoning racism in any way.
Jay, in the real world, is Isaac suspended for the next game, or how's that work over there?
Oh, he'd be much longer the next game. Well,
really?
He got a red card, so straight red. That's usually a 3-match ban.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But because of the nature of what he did, even though he's been given a red card there and then, that would probably end up going to like a tribunal and they'd give him a much larger ban. As I say, like Cantona, when he went in the crowd and kicked that player in the head, the fan in the head, sorry, he was like, it was almost 2 years.
Wow. Okay.
So like Isaac not getting a massive ban is probably like a massive blessing for him. Well, yeah. Well, to be honest, the way the speed things moved with like the FA and stuff like that, he probably wouldn't have got it till the following season anyway. At that point,
because then Cantona's great when he went all poetry as well. When the seagulls follow the trawler, it is to get the sardines that fall from the net. All right, Cantona, you all right?
I love Eric Cantona. He's fucking nuts.
He's brilliant. Yeah, he now hawks Stella, doesn't he? I think. Yeah.
Cronenberg.
Is it? Some beer, but yeah. But yeah, it's we'll send you the clip because the clip is brilliant, and when you understand the context of it, it's a tremendous kick as well.
Wow.
Yeah, he
it's
was
like a
also
Power Ranger sleep.
He's in that famous Nike advert as well, wasn't he? Where it's like the underground football club and Elvis was playing.
Oh yes.
He was like the announcer for it. Yeah, very, very iconic player.
One of the few football players I could name. Yeah.
I can name more I could do in this show, for sure.
I don't think most of these are real. I don't think Jeff Cartridge is a real person.
Nope.
I don't know. He's real to me, damn it. I'm just saying. Oh.
The person sat next to him was, though.
I assumed he was, but I couldn't tell you.
Clinton Morrison, who used to play for Birmingham City.
Immediately forgot him.
Wasn't very good. Kind of a shit footballer.
In the locker room, Ted is searching for the words to say here. He asks Isaac what the fuck happened. Isaac tells him a fan said something, but he won't tell him what. Sam backs him up and says it's the F word. It's the other F word. And
I love the way Jamie goes, "What fuck?" And then Sam goes, "No, the other F word."
He goes,
"Fuck."
Yeah, that's good. They all react to this too. And the guys try to brush this off, and Sam tells them it's nothing they haven't heard before. Isaac is beside himself and screams they shouldn't have to put up with this shit. What if one of them was gay? When he sits down and he's got his fist and he's like trying to control himself.
So worked up and angry. It's brilliant.
Colo Bocchini should get all the flowers for that scene. He's fantastic. Like, that's rage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Rage. So Isaac leaves the room, and on the way out, he takes off the captain. I want to call it Captain's Band. What am I calling that? Armband?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And he gives it to Sam. Ted goes to follow, but Roy stops him. He's going to go talk to him. Jamie does this back and forth with Sam, motioning to the armband, and then Sam just flips him off.
I love the way Sam's like, "You want this, but you gave it to me."
Yeah. Jamie's like, I could. Hey,
but I'll take it off you if it's too.
Yeah. What's cool about that though is that they both want to lead the team. Like,
yes,
it shows like they're both on the same page. Where in previous seasons they would have been at loggerheads and Jamie would have like been a dick about it and took the armband off him. Here, Jamie's like, "Do you want me to do it, Sam?" And Sam's like, "No, fuck you, I'll do this."
Right. And I love that. That's so good. The guys are trying to figure all this out, and they assume that Isaac is gay. Jan Maas says that 10% of the population is gay, so they all believe there's probably more gay people in the locker room than Isaac. They all look around and start to look at Jamie one by one. He goes,
I'm flattered.
I'm flattered. I love that scene for some reason. That moment's awesome. Sam says,
"Look, because it's Jamie. Like if season 1 Jamie, if that had been that, he'd have had a tanty. He'd have stomped off. I'm not gay. Yeah. Whereas with this, he's just like, no, but thank you.
Yeah. Season 1 Jamie's not even.
I think as well, like the way they're reacting to it is what makes like kind of gives Colin the courage to then do
Oh,
what he does.
well
Because
said.
he's looking around and he's seeing that they're actually like not like, ugh, what the fuck? And he's like, oh, these guys are going to be totally cool about this.
Well, also Trent is burning his eyes into him as well. Like
Mm.
Trent is going.
Well,
Now's the time if there's ever a time.
yeah, because they obviously want to try and get to the bottom of why Isaac's so worked up about it.
Yeah.
And they think it's because Isaac's gay, and then it's like, well, and Colin's like, nah, I can't let them all like walk around Isaac walk on eggshells around Isaac.
No, it's yeah. And also, you can't have him fall on your sword, sort of thing. Like,
Mm.
if you're gonna do it, now's the time to do it. You've seen how they've reacted. It's not a
Yeah.
problem. But it's just
No
Trent
better-
going eyeballing him. Like, I was like, let him have his
No
moment,
better
Trent.
time. There's no better time to do it. And Sam
Yeah.
says we just need to support Isaac right now. But before Ted can say anything, Colin stands up. We cut to the kit room from all this with Roy and Isaac, and we know somewhere Will's probably hanging out because he's always in there.
You also know you're going to get a big emotional punch in the face because we're in the boot room. This is where all the
Yes.
emotional stuff
Well,
happens.
Yes.
This was like almost like a mirror image the way it was kind of shot to when Roy retires and Keeley comes in
Yes.
and comforts Roy.
Good job. Yeah.
Like, because Isaac sat there crying and he's like, just leave Roy. And Roy's like, no. And just sits down and does exactly what Keeley did.
Well done.
Good catch, yeah.
Roy says, I don't know what happened out there, but I do know whatever it was isn't what you're really angry about, is it? He says, so then trust me, you got to deal with that or you're going to fuck up whatever it is you actually do care about. And then Will pipes up
just
out of
there.
the blue.
Yeah.
He's
like
right,
a snowflake
you know.
on a mountain.
The little things we get mad about are like snowflakes on a mountain. And if we wait too long, then we're just one sneeze away from an avalanche that will kill us all. Roy says, thank you, Will. Will smiles and says, you guys want some bubble gum? Roy says, don't push it.
And then he just slinks back off into his corner. Like,
I love when Roy took that in. He's like, like he was very much into that. It was working for him.
Again, it's only a little thing, but it's showing like a bit of a shift in Roy. No, normally Will would have like opened his mouth there and Roy would have told him to fuck off.
Yeah.
Like immediately.
in every other boot room thing where Will has tried to speak, they've immediately shut him down.
Yeah.
I'm fairly sure.
Yeah, but he let Will get his sort of like his words in, and was like, okay, yeah, that's actually quite profound. Well done, Will.
Well done.
Back to the locker room. It's obvious Colin has told them the truth. I like that we didn't see it. I don't think we needed to see it. Like,
No.
you know what I mean? Like the thing that he was the most worried about, they didn't bother showing us because I think that plays into the idea of wasn't as big of a deal as he thought it was going to be, you know? He says, they're all good. Danny says, you're gay. Big whoop. It was good. And Ted
Yeah,
says,
that's just Danny though, and he's just arguing with his socks or something. You know what I mean?
yeah. Ted says, Colin, we do care. This is a long story, but I got it all here.
But no, this is one of those things where they're like, we don't care. You're still Colin, like, and that is the right attitude. It doesn't change anything. But what Ted says now is the thing that's like, yeah, that's what it should be.
Yeah. He says, we do care. When I was growing up back in Kansas City, I had a buddy named Stevie Jewell. Now, he was a huge Denver Broncos fan, but we were all growing up smack down in the middle of Chiefs country. So he used to catch a lot of guff for it, you know? But me, I told him it didn't affect me either way. It didn't affect the way I felt about him at all. I told him I didn't care. And I didn't. But then in the 97, 98, he had to watch back-to-back Super Bowls with the Denver Broncos in them all by himself. First one, he ate an entire 7-layer dip from Price Chopper all by himself, big old thing, and it just wrecked his stomach. Apparently, he destroyed the toilet in his parents' basement. I remember the rumor at the time being that he caused $9,000 worth of damage. Could you imagine? To a toilet, $9,000. I don't know what he's talking about here, right?
No, also, is 7-layer dip just 7 layers of dips?
Yes.
Ugh.
I know. Yeah, just like Scoop, get a tortilla chip. And
Yeah, but
scoop
how are you going to get right
life
down?
on
You got to eat all the stuff on the top before you get down to the bottom stuff.
Well, yeah, you just got that's why
How
you
thick
dip.
are the layers?
I don't know.
Like a
I don't know the
trifle?
last
Or-
time. No, it's not.
I'm
Oh,
sorry,
that's a
I'm
good
going-
point. No,
Going off
I know
on a
what you-
tangent, but
I
I'm
know
gonna
what you
Google
mean.
this.
It's not that thick. They're thin layers.
oh
Yeah.
right, okay, then that's all right.
Yeah. I know what you mean though by trifle.
Yeah, like big chunky layers, because you'd be like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
God, all this guacamole.
And once again, I haven't ate today. See what we did? God bless
Sorry.
it. The next year, he did the exact same thing, all by himself. He must have thought it was good luck or something. I don't know, because I wasn't there, because I didn't care. But I should have cared. I should have supported him. I should have been down in his house both those years, sharing that 7-layer dip with my friend while his garbage-ass team wins back-to-back Super Bowls. Colin says, Coach, you just compared being gay to being a Denver Broncos fan. You know what? I did, and I regret it. Sorry about that. And Jamie says, what the fuck are Denver Broncos?
Broncos.
Beard says, oh, for fuck's sake. Ted says, that's an absolute fumble. My apologies. The point is, we don't not care. We care very much. We care about who you are and what you must have been going through. But from now on, you don't have to go through it all by yourself. Jamie says, you hear that? You got us. We got you. I teared up two times in this. One, when Colin stormed in the stands, got me emotional, and this did too. Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. So
Ted telling him that they're there for him in the most Ted way possible.
yes,
Yeah, a long rambling story that no one really understood.
and some of his stories land better than others. Like, I got this. It took him a while to get there, but I got it.
Oh no, I get it, but there must have been an easier analogy in his head. But
I
he'd
would
started,
think.
he'd mentioned the dip, and now we're on the train cannot come off the tracks.
Yes. Ted says, we're a man down. What are we going to do differently? They all at the same time shout, absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
They put their hands in for the count off. Ted throws it to Sam, who doesn't know what to say. I'm honored to be your captain, and I love you all so very much. Jamie says, all right, on 3. 1, 2, 3. And they all shout, I love you all so very much. Wonderful. Trent says, better or worse than you imagine? Colin says, second best way it could have gone, I think. Best way being the entire team confesses that they're gay too, and we get to go be on the cover of Oprah's magazine. What?
Yeah, I don't.
Great.
Didn't understand that myself, but whatever.
It's awesome. As he and Trent leave the room, Trent looks back into the locker room and looks very pleased. And I think this is Tom writing stuff that didn't happen. When Trent turns and looks back at that moment, he's like, man, this book is writing itself. Like, this is going in the book. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Totally.
Oh, yeah.
as well.
ooh,
But also
Well-
the pan away of We Are Richmond as well.
Mhm.
well done.
Yeah.
Well, I think with that as well as obviously that's a moment that resonates in Trent because it's something he can relate to. Whereas there's a lot of stuff like where because he's not a sportsman or not a footballer that he can't really relate to it, even though obviously like you understand what they're going through, but you haven't experienced it firsthand, so you can't really like fully relate to what they're going through. Whereas for that moment, that was something that he can 100% completely relate to and see in himself because it's happened to him. And that's like again a huge moment for Trent's book, but it's a huge moment for Trent because he's helped someone who he's been through that situation himself.
Yeah, it's a good point, Joe. Like, he doesn't quite get it, but he has been through this. So yeah, these aren't just teammates to Colin. They haven't been probably in a really long time. Not since Ted, right? Like,
Well, since the end of season 1, yeah. After the barrel incident, a burning in the barrel, I think they're out there. That's when they all fully locked in, weren't it? But yeah, and
once again, that
I guess
episode
we'll never know.
impacted the entire series, right? We've said it before.
Yeah.
Impacted the entire series.
Indeed.
Nate's back at his desk and sees the headline on his phone. McAdoo goes mad. And, it's the press. Jade texts him and says she saw that they won and says, have fun for guys night. And Roger comes in. I like Roger, and offers for them to go get a pint. Nate says he's going out with Rupert. Roger immediately wonders if he's in trouble.
Are you in trouble? He's constantly on edge, Roger.
So
All the time.
the thing is, Roger's like trying to be what Nate wants from like the club. Like he's desperately trying to be what Higgins was to Ted.
Yeah.
And
failing the failing of the not the Diamond Dogs. What was it? The
Love Hounds.
Love Hounds, yeah, which was a massive error on everyone's part.
Yes.
Disco hated it.
But I have a feeling that he genuinely thinks now that him and Nate have got a rapport a bit. Like, and I might just be like, "Do you want to come for a pint?" You know.
I think the thing is as well. I think Nate probably, maybe again, as you say, he's built a bit of rapport with him. We just don't know.
It's just, are you in trouble? Roger, not everyone's constantly in trouble, mate.
I forget the character's name that's in Keeley's office. He is like always on the edge, and the guy that always stood up. Yeah,
the guy that I don't think he has it.
Is it Martin?
Martin or Alan? I think possibly
something like that. Yeah.
But when Thingy leaves, who's coming with me? And he's sitting down,
right.
Okay.
Yeah, sit down. At the dog track, the guys have won 2-1. Colin got the assist on both goals. Chris and Arlo are really putting over his performance, as well they should. Nice way to tie that up. Soccer Saturday broadcast. Here we go. The guys talk about the win, but then immediately go to the footage of Isaac going into the stands. Clinton tells Jeff that he had wanted to do that a few times himself. George, of course, calls Isaac a psychopath and says you don't cross the line by going into the stands. He makes Roy Kent look like Bambi. Well, card trick for you.
Yeah, it's
quite a good line for card trick.
Right. Back at the pub, the guys are defending Isaac. Baz says, guy probably deserved it though, right? Absolutely, no doubt. I thought that was cool. Like everyone's rallying around him.
So, but then May also was. He was in here once, and I barred him because he said something about my niece Claire, and they're all like, "Not Claire, the prick." They're all like, "How dare you?"
He says, "I hope this kid shiv him in his sleep."
This kid shiv him in his
That's the thing though, like they all it kind of like makes you feel less, not that you'd feel bad about the guy anyway, because he's clearly an awful, irredeemable human being. But the fact that they're all kind of like, oh yeah, he was a dickhead here. It's like, oh well, no, I definitely wish Isaac had punched him.
Yep. Purely justified.
Yeah, no kidding. Nate goes into this club. This is good. The same one from previous episodes, Bows and Honey, as we said before. He finds Rupert at the bar, who introduces him to two women. He gets their names wrong, of course.
On purpose.
I'm sure. And tells Nate they'll be joining
technique,
them. Nate is obviously bothered by all this, and the moment has come. The music is building up to it. The look on Nick Muhammad's face is all building up to it. And he just finally tells him, I have to leave. I couldn't do this. I wanted to come tell you in person. And then
you can, like, he knows exactly what Rupert's up to. Like, you can hear Rupert saying, yeah, let's, the girl's going to be joining us tonight. Can we get the private room? You know exactly what Rupert's up to here.
Sure.
He's covering his fucking tracks, the prick. And I think as well, like, Nate here kind of like ditching him. It's like the equivalent of when Vader throws Palpatine down the shaft. Like
that's good.
just because we compare Nate to Vader, and obviously him ripping up the believe sign with killing the younglings. This is like where Vader's like, nah, fuck this guy, and just throws him down the shaft at the end of Return of the Jedi.
It's when he turns and looks at him though, and he says, "I've got to go," and and like Rupert just gives him a look of
he just like that, Just in that moment,
it's just like, well, no job's worth that.
Right? Yeah. Look, in that moment,
would you want to go drinking with your boss anyway? No.
Well, Nick Muhammad, he's fantastic, but like in that moment, you're like, had he gone with him, would he have woke up next to one of those girls the next morning? Who knows? But like,
that's what the play was. That's why he did it with Anastasia.
Sure.
Again, it's Rupert trying to destroy Nate and Jade because, let's face it, one, Rupert doesn't want anyone else having joy.
Yeah.
Also, the reason why Nate was so successful at the start of the run with West Ham was because he was like this sort of cold, calculating, almost like emotionless manager, and he was just kind of driven by revenge, and because he felt wronged by Ted, and then obviously he's had like moments where he saw Ted when he had the match, and then he's met Jade, and he's like got like she's kind of like melted his heart a bit, and obviously he's going back to being the Nate we kind of like grew to love in season 1. You can tell like this is kind of like the last sort of flick of the switch where, all right, Rupert's trying to get me to not be a good person. I'm not that person.
No, but it's that. I also think it's the thing of like when he tried setting him up with the Anastasia woman, and then these two women are like what you would call higher class women. You know what I mean? And Jade works in a Greek tavern.
Oh,
you know
yeah,
what I mean?
it's
And that's not
definitely
fitting of a football manager. It's
Well-
all Rupert's elitist and showiness.
The first fucking thing he did was like scrap Nate's car and buy him a new one.
Yeah.
Like he's clearly very much like, I want my manager to like have all this status because they're like my sort of like, again, it's like Vader and Palpatine, isn't it?
But it is that moment when he realizes what's going on, and that's when you see Nate like I said, the scales fall from his eyes, and he sees really what this is.
Yeah,
and it's like, what do I do?
Did you notice the music changing as Rupert's taking that long pause with that smile on his face? You can hear the music becoming more ominous. Like,
that's what I was talking about before.
Good stuff.
Like, music changes when Rupert's mood changes.
Well, they did a weird like filter on the sound as well when he's talking to the bartender, and Nate's like having that like sort of crisis of confidence.
Yeah.
Like where it almost like makes Rupert sound demonic, like his voice kind of goes a bit more like sort of like blared and deeper, and as he's like, oh yeah, get us the room in the back, and being all sleazy and shit like that.
Yeah. But God bless him, he bounces. I've got to go, Rupert. Sorry, something's come up.
Good for him. Because I mean, Jade's more important to him in the long run.
Well, he's very professional about it as well. To be fair,
he is.
I'd rather come and tell you in person as opposed to like just standing you up.
Yeah.
And you know, Jay, well done, because the other Nate would have been like at a loss for words, fumbling, didn't know how to say it, but it didn't at all to me feel like something was wrong. It felt like he came there just to let him know. That was really good. Yeah.
No, I generally think he thought they were going for a lads. They're going to have a couple of drinks, and that was it. And as soon as those women were there, Nate was like, "Oh, I know what this is."
Sure.
Yeah.
And
that's when he's like, "This was never about getting to know me. This was about trying to control me and make me your little underling, and I don't want that." When I was doing what you wanted me to do, I was unhappy. I was miserable. Now I've got someone, and you don't like that, and you're trying to take that away from me. Nah, pal, I'm out. And he goes home.
And great moment, kids. All this is to say that we've almost got Nate entirely back. So it's good to see. Good. I love the analogy of throwing Palpatine down the shaft. That's good.
I mean, we haven't done a Star Wars analogy in a while, so
it's been a while.
Time we would do one. Yeah,
haven't been able to, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'll throw it in here.
He just goes down to Jade's flat and just gives her a big hug, and it's just a really nice little. I'm sorry for what could have happened.
Well, I think he's probably just like as well, like obviously realizing how much he means to him.
Yeah,
and because is it? I mean, they don't say he's quit the job, do they? At this point,
no. But
it'll be the next episode.
That look that Rupert gives him is like, right, that's it then.
It's okay. I got a really cool graphic with music that we throw up whenever we spoil something, so it's fun.
Oh, we rarely do.
Very rarely.
Is it Nate as Vader throwing Rupert's Palpatine down the shaft?
No.
No, wouldn't that be great?
Just with him above his head.
It's reminiscent of that old graphic they would put up when they cut to Unexpected Break in the 50s. Like
The test
It's
card
got
one.
music
I'll
on it.
just
Yeah.
Because here, when that happened, you'd just get some lovely piano music and a picture of some daffodils or something for a long time. That was good. Yeah,
It'd be like technical difficulties or something, you know.
Or you get that one of the girl with like the chalkboard.
Yeah, that's the old test card. Yeah, with the
is
spooky
it?
clown. Yeah, because it
I
has
don't
all
like
the.
that.
No, it's changed now anyway.
Back at Ted's office, Trent Krim says, congratulations, Ted. That's 8 wins in a row. And Ted says, oh, come on now, Trent. You know I don't care about winning or losing. Coach Beard blows a raspberry. This is nice. Ted says, truth is, the only way I could be happier is if my arm feet were covered in barbecue sauce. Because in that one episode, didn't he tell the guys their leg hands? Isn't that what he said?
Yeah. It's a little callback to I can't
Mhm.
remember what episode it is, but yeah.
Roy comes in beating his chest like a gorilla. And Trent asks him about the winning streak. He goes, "Oi, you never talk about a winning streak. My grandparents were happily married for 51 years because they never said a fucking word to each other." Higgins comes in and says, well done. Congrats. Another one. Ted points out the DJ Khaled impression, and Higgins doesn't know who that is.
I had to have Harvey explain it to me. I don't know who that is either.
Yeah, he doesn't do a whole lot. If you know his name, that's about all you know about him because he doesn't do a whole lot. So anyway, he got famous off of it. Good for him. But, when Higgins said, the press is ready for you, Ted, it's a big one. Ted responds, that's what the lady from the American Office said. In a roundabout way, this is just Ted saying that's what she said in a reference to an often used line by the character Michael Scott of The Office.
Who doesn't understand the joke in The Office either.
Yeah.
That's the little play off on that.
Yeah.
But, I also like the fact they're all just having like what would appear to be a bottle of whiskey after the match as well.
Right? Yeah. Great stuff. We go to the press room and Rebecca asks Keeley if she gave Ted any talking points. Keeley says no, she hasn't done that in a long time. And Rebecca is obviously worried. That got me because I thought, why would you think that Ted needs Jay? I mean, what do you think, Jay?
I think it's probably just more because of like the debacle with Beard earlier in the day.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right. Well,
And also the fact that McAdoo ran into the stands and
actually that's a good point from a PR perspective. Like the McAdoo thing, like a lot of the time, usually if there's something like that, or if there's a scandal around the club, they will brief the managers like move along, no comment there, don't talk about it, or just
here's a prepared statement.
Read
that, and then no more questions about that.
Mm-hmm.
I like when Roy's the one who comes in. Higgins goes, ooh.
Ooh.
Does the choking thing.
Because he's Higgins noise, yeah.
They all like, what? What's going on? Roy says, all right, you got me today. Any questions? They all go nuts. He goes, fucking hell. You, 5 o'clock Shadowhead. And this is Gary from before. Coach Kent, do you or the organization condone what Isaac McAdoo did today? What a stupid fucking question. Of course we don't. What Isaac did was awful. He was lucky he only got a red card. And Gary says, okay, so why do you do it? And then he gets to do a moment of having a TED talk here, I guess. When I was first coming, go ahead.
There's a moment of fear because he sits back and you see Rebecca go, oh, what's going to happen here? Is he just going to start going off? Because that's what Roy would do.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get this lovely Ted story. Well, Ted-ish story.
He's going to charge into the gallery and headbutt everybody, right?
Yeah.
Right. When I was first coming up through Sunderland, there was an old timer on the team, a local guy. He and his wife were about to have their first kid. So during training one day, I made a joke that statistically I was probably the real dad. And the boys fell about laughing, but he went fucking nuts. He battered me properly. I had a black eye, chipped tooth, 3 broken ribs. I couldn't play for 6 games. He got booted off the team. After that, no club would go near him. Then in the summer, after I could breathe again, I bumped into him in a pub. And I got the chance to say I was sorry for my stupid fucking joke. And he got to tell me that he and his wife had lost the baby. A month before all that went down. He hadn't told anyone, kept it all inside. All right, I got emotional 3 times on this episode. That was the third.
No, this is one of those stories because it's just like what he says next is, yeah.
Awesome. He says, I get that some people think if they buy a ticket, they've got the right to yell whatever abusive shit they want at footballers. But they're not just footballers. They're also people. And none of us know what is going on in each other's lives. So for Isaac to do what he did today, even though it was wrong, I give him love. And as for why he did what he did, that's none of my fucking business. Next question. Brad Goldstein is a legend.
It's such an out of place Roy thing. Just when he goes, I give him love. You're like, Roy, what's... Oh my God, Roy's heart grew 3 times that day. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, he saved Christmas. It's great.
But he's right as well. It's a really poignant and good bit of nobody knows what anyone else is going through. Just try and be nice.
Yeah, it shows how much he's like kind of, again, like he's grown under Ted. Mm-hmm. Like this is like, again, from the start of the episode where he's trying not to be so set in his ways, but he still is being set in his ways, to going out of his comfort zone here, doing what Ted would do and telling a story to relate to it. It's I said to you guys before we started recording, like I think that scene is Brett Goldstein's best scene in the entire show. Like it's incredible. It's such a good scene.
Awesome.
Yeah, he does a great job in it.
That or him throwing the bike at Jamie in Amsterdam. But yeah.
I just want it like when he's sitting still and then he just like goes over. That's the best. That's the best.
How's that helping?
Right. Yeah. How's that help you? He throws it to Marcus and he calls him New Trent. And Marcus says, Coach, let's talk about Colin Hughes. And Roy says, yeah, he's a hell of a player and a great man. I think we've underused him. Marcus says, I think you're right. Roy says, glad we agree. I prefer you to old Trent.
then he goes, you, Goblin King.
Great. We go to Jade's place. Joe, this is what you're talking about earlier. She's reading. No, you're good. I got the book this time. I'm proud of myself. She's reading Kafka on the Shore by Haruki Murakami. The book tells the stories of a bookish 15-year-old Kafka Tamura who runs away from his Oedipal curse, and Satoru Nakata, an old disabled man with the uncanny ability to talk to cats. The book incorporates themes of music as a communicative conduit, metaphysics, dreams, fate, the subconscious. I feel smarter just reading that.
I even understood some of the words.
That was wonderful. All That You Are by Bear's Den is playing as Nate rings her doorbell. She asks about guys' night, and he just hugs her. And this is the point when I wrote, I think we just got Nate back.
Yeah.
That was what convinced me. Isaac shows up at Colin's place. Freaking thank God we're finally going to figure out what's going on here. And he answers his door, and Isaac, first thing he says is, you lied to me for years. What is it about me that made you think you couldn't tell me? Wow, that's strong. That's strong, dude. It's a great line.
But also, he doesn't understand it's not about him.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the thing that kind of made me go, oh, yeah, it's about that person's journey. It's not about yours. Like,
yeah.
Also, Colin has a glass staircase in his house.
Saw that.
It's dangerous.
It sure is. Yeah. I think with Isaac, with this as well, though, it's like he wants to understand why Colin didn't tell him, but he needs to hear it from Colin to truly understand it, I think. Where, like, because obviously Colin's like 99% sure that you wouldn't have had an issue with it, but there's that 1% that was lingering that I was terrified. Because it shows they are like best mates. They probably been at the club together for years. They might have even come up through like the same academy, and like if they've come through Richmond's academy, then that's another thing completely as well. Because obviously they'll have known each other since they were children.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're absolutely right. Like it is Colin's journey, not Isaac's. But I suppose for Isaac, he's just like hurt that his mate
couldn't tell him.
Couldn't tell him who, and he's made it like kind of abundantly clear at this point that he accepts him for who he is, regardless of anything else.
I get Isaac's point, but it's just when Colin goes, it wasn't about you, it was about me not being able to tell you, because I didn't want to lose you as a friend, and I like I said, I'm 99% sure you'd be fine with it, but yeah.
He does say that thing as well, saying, look, I've kept that secret for like most of my life. You can't keep secrets. I told
and he goes, yeah, I know I can.
Didn't even last a month.
That's great. I'm glad they made up. That's pretty cool that they made up.
It's just when he like kind of stands there and he goes, all right, we're cool. And he turns to leave, and Colin's like, do you want to come in?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's yeah, it's just a nice bit.
I like Isaac giving him questions, because this would make sense if you found out it. Well, maybe not now, but I don't know what I'm trying to say, but like if you had a friend or something, you just naturally you'd be curious.
I genuinely think this is probably the first gay person Isaac's ever known.
That's fair, yeah.
Like
that closely.
He's hanged around with footballers, and as we've already established, some of them maybe gay but are too afraid to come out about it. Who else is he? You know what I mean? And it's the fact that he's asking questions that a sort of child would, basically. What is it? Is bottoms and tops sex positions or sleeping arrangements?
Sexual positions, unless bunk beds are involved, then it's both. Would you ever shag a woman? No, I'm gay. I know, but what if you had to?
What if you had to?
1967, Raquel Welch, my man. Who's the fittest guy on the team? I won't tell you, and you'd never guess. Bumbercatch? Yes. Like he guessed it. They think Bumbercatch is the fittest guy on the team. That's great. He says, what about team showers? How's that work? He says, I keep my head down. I think about global warming. I said, if I had to shower with a bunch of girls all the time, I'd definitely get boners. Grown man. It's fine. Whatever. Colin says, I love you. You can't say it, can you? He goes, no, but I do, yeah.
Oh, stop it.
Right. And then the show goes off with the same song we heard at the beginning, actually for the closing credits from that musical from earlier.
Yes.
Great, man. Freaking great. Like, I was just going to say, I can't remember when I was watching season 3, if the show had ended or if it was, if it was in the process of ending. I can't remember. But like it does feel like we're winding things up, doesn't it? Am I crazy?
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It really does. I mean, just one little bit there. That was from
the end.
Okay. Colin does say he's not going to tell anyone else. The team knows, and that's enough.
That's right.
Which means Trent can't use it in his book, because Trent's already promised that he wouldn't out him. So he knows the team knows, but Trent can't use it in his book.
But what Trent would probably do there for that like sort of moment would he'd probably do it with an anonymity.
Oh yeah. But I'm saying he's like there is still that trust there. But Colin isn't officially out. Yeah.
Although give it time.
Oh yeah, give it time. Right. Once the cat's out the bag, it's very hard to get him back in. Yeah.
He could write that scene and just reference purely what was said in the stands and just focus on that.
Oh, as well as we know, but it's just that thing of Colin isn't fully all the way out yet.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just because it comes in a bit later on, but yeah.
Well, kids, don't look now, but that's episode 9. Holy cow, we got here. We got 3 left, and then our recap. And we're gonna, we were debating before we came on today if it will be the series recap or the season recap. Maybe it should be the season recap.
Do it all. Well, we'll see.
That's what I mean. Like if there's a,
we've already spoke about season 1 and 2 in recaps, haven't we? I think it would make sense to talk about 3 and then kind of put a cherry on top by just talking about the season as a whole briefly.
Yeah. Not the whole thing. Yeah, we'll see when we get there.
Yeah. And we could
Yeah,
fantasy book us. We could fantasy book a season 4. Just saying.
Yes. They take over a spooky hotel.
I'm just excited about the next episode because I saw the shot from
yes
Green Grab, and I saw who's in it, and I was like, yeah, my guy.
One of our favorite characters returns. Yes.
Spoiler alert: it's not Zabba.
No. I want to see Bumbercatch running for political office. That's what I want to see. Do you know what I mean? I think that'd be great.
I want a full blown like conspiracy nut like show with Bumbercatch,
like a web series, yeah.
Where he's got his own podcast and he's going down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Oh,
because he will be definitely one of those footballers because you've already made like illusions that he's into conspiracies and that.
Oh yeah.
He'd definitely go full David Icke, wouldn't he?
Birds aren't real.
Birds aren't real.
Yeah, Danny and Richard can open up a wine and tacos place or something. I don't know.
Which is strictly for swingers.
Strictly for swingers.
Like, there's possibilities. I like to see Danny as a bellboy in a hotel, getting up to antics.
Yeah. I'd like to see where like Roy takes the
Stop. This is for another time.
Everything.
Yes. Well,
takes the lessons he learns in this episode.
I thank you for that. Speaking of lessons learned from this episode, let's go to biggest takeaways from this episode. Great segue. Jay, let's start with you. Biggest takeaway from this episode.
I think as I said before, there's a lot of kind of characters, not so much coming full circle, but getting close to where they're going to be at the end of the show. Specifically, Nate, Colin, and Roy in this episode. And yeah, there's knowing what we know, there's a ton of foreshadowing in this episode that we didn't really touch on because we don't want to go too much into like spoiling like the next couple of episodes. But we'll definitely be revisiting that in when we do the season review for sure. Yeah, I think this is one of the best episodes of the season. Handles a lot of serious issues, but it does it at times in a light-hearted way, and by the end a very feel-good way. But obviously, again, you've got to kind of get through the dark forest to get to it, as you do with a lot of stuff in Ted Lasso.
Dark Forest reference. I like it. What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, it's like with Colin and Roy. I also noticed like Ted seems slightly more happier in himself in this episode after what happened with Michelle last time. Like the look back from the taxi may be enough for him to be like, it's not done. Like there's still a hope there for me, because he doesn't really feature that much in the episode. Like it's not about him. But yeah, I think this and the Amsterdam episode are probably my two favorite episodes because of they're great, but there's also genuine, touching, pressing things that are happening in them, and they're handled in a very tactful way. And again, that whole speech about we don't not care is one of those things that is the big takeaway from it. It's okay to, like, I know none of us are bothered if people are one way or the other and stuff, but you've got to also remember that it does matter to them, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's the main thing from this, is that it's not enough to not care. Like, I don't know. I'm confusing myself now, but that's the main takeaway from this, is that it's yeah. I'll shush.
No, you're good. No, it makes sense. You're right. Not bothered, but it matters at the same time. No, I get it. Yeah. Once again, it's another episode of this. The creative people behind this show just, God, it feels real. God, it feels like real people. Even when the wacky people feel real at times. So yeah,
we all know it, Danny, don't we?
Oh, sure. We don't know enough of them, I'm sure, but like we,
Yeah.
you know.
I've just remembered what next episode is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Oh, it's not only that; it's also Danny.
Yes. Well, he's on the thumbnail, and when you guys see the thumbnail, be like, "What's going on with Danny?" If you've never seen the episode, because it's awesome.
Yes.
Oh shit! Yeah.
Yes.
Because I saw the name of the episode and the thumbnail I saw had someone there, and I didn't put two and two together. But yeah,
Yes.
I can't wait to talk about that.
So good. Yeah, well, kids, we've sufficiently teased the life out of it, and we'll get there when we get there. So that's all we got for you this time, though. We want to thank you folks for tuning in to episode 9 here on Two Nations Under Ted Lasso Podcast. We always ask you to do the following. I'm going to do it again because I'm a creature of habit. BoinkStudios.com, BOINK, BoinkStudios.com. You'll find links to this show everywhere we are on social media, everywhere we are online. You will find links on that website. You'll also find links to Jay's show and also to Joe's shows as well, and the My Other Podcast too, and all the social media is there as well. You can't miss it. BoinkStudios.com. Go and bookmark the site today, if you will, and remember to catch new episodes. You only got 3 new ones left to catch. Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for Two Nations Under Ted. Bear with us, kids. Thanks for hanging out, and we appreciate your business, and we will see you for episode 10. For Joe and Jay, I'm Tom. See you next time, kids.